Former Youth and Sports Minister Lante van der Poel has denied claims by the current Sports Minister Isaac Isiama that he paid a contractor some 1.6 million Ghana cedis in cash for work to be done on the new Edibiase Sports Complex. Mr. Isiama made the claim in response to a question in Parliament. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo brings us the latest.
The Minister for Youth and Sports, Isaac Isiama, was in Parliament himself, but he didn't respond to this question. It was stood down. However, as is the practice in Parliament, his expected response was captured in the order paper. Let me read to you portions of what was captured in the order paper. He says, Mr. Speaker, the funding of this project was not captured in the ministry's budget in 2015 and 2016. There is also no evidence of sponsorship for the project. The source of funding, therefore, remains unknown. Mr. Speaker, upon further inquiries, it was disclosed that the amount so far paid to the contractor, totaling 1,650,271 Ghana cedis, was received in cash from the then Minister for Youth and Sports. The matter has been referred to the National Security for further investigation regarding the source of funding. And then he goes on to say the ministry is providing sports infrastructure across the country, and so they are committed to completing this project in New Edibiase. Well, we gather that the minister in question who made the funding available in cash was Lante van der Poel, the Minister for Youth and Sports then, and the MP for Ododo-Odio, who we didn't spot in Parliament today. And the contractor in question is the Shagdin Limited, and this transaction was in June 2016. The Sports Minister has refused further comment on this until he appears on the floor of the House to respond to the questions. But MP for Busa South, Dr. Clementa Park, who was part of the previous government, is convinced this practice is obviously wrong and the investigation should be done to get to the details of it.
The minister has asked that we hold off for him to come to the floor. As you know, when he comes to answer, there will be follow-up questions about why and how. And if indeed there is any indication of any wrongdoing, I'm sure that the right processes would unfold. But for now, I think we need to be a bit patient to allow for the minister to come to the floor and answer the question as he has indicated in his written response. And after that, I know members of Parliament would have subsequent questions to ask to seek clarity on the way forward on this matter.
The House also approved the appointment of 4 ministers of state and 2 deputy ministers, including the minister who's been appointed for the Information Ministry, Kojo Nkrumah. He got a lot of praises from members of Parliament who wished him well as he takes over as Minister for Information.
There's no doubt that with the impressive credentials of Nkrumah, he will do a good job. He's had experience, he's worked with us here as a colleague, and he answered all the questions very well to the admiration of all the members of the committee. Mr. Speaker, I've had a personal encounter with Honorable Nkrumah when I was the Minister for Energy. At the time, he interviewed me extensively and did not show any sign that he was an MPP member. He was very objective in all he said and asked me in terms of contributions and issues to address. Mr. Speaker, he was very objective, sincere, professional, and to me, it's a true example of the highest level of professional conduct that we should find in somebody who's going to handle the Ministry of Communication, of Information, Mr. Speaker.
The House also approved the nomination of Evans Poku-Bobie as Brown Ahafo Regional Minister, as well as the nomination of Paulina Abayage as Minister for the Upper East Region, as well as the other deputy ministers. Issues having to do with the Right to Information Bill were captured on the other paper as an item that they would have dealt with today, but that never happened. However, MPs say they are still committed to helping pass this particular bill. From Parliament House in Accra, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo reporting.
But following that, we've had some reactions. The former minister Lante van der Poel has denied a claim. He spoke to Evans Mensah on Top Story on Thursday evening.
Do you know the cost of the project?
Tell me.
The cost of the project is over 6 million. The project was in 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. The contractor was awarded phase 1.
Phase 1, what did phase 1 entail?
The clearing of the forest, the building of the perimeter fencing, the changing room, and the field itself. I can't remember all.
Okay.
I can tell you. I know. As for these specifics, I know.
Oh, good. Now, the football club that should play in the stadium says the field hasn't been done. Only part of the perimeter wall has been done, and the changing room.
Did the football club award the contract?
They did not, but they can see what is there.
Are they consultants?
You don't need to be a contractor to tell what has happened with the building.
From the project when the project is completed and handed over to the chiefs and people of the area.
Well, we'll update you more on this subject. We'll speak to the contractor and whether all the relevant information and the payment really were also made to him. But let's move on. The son of the Queen of England, that's Queen Elizabeth, Prince Charles, is today starting a 4-day visit to Ghana. The Prince of Wales, tipped to succeed the Queen, is expected to call on President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House and later visit the Osu Castle to discuss the future restoration and reuse of the castle, which served as command post during the colonial era. He will, on Saturday, visit the Asantehene at the Minsha Palace in Kumasi, where a Deba will be held in his honor. He is expected to visit some cocoa farms also and discuss sustainable practices on cocoa with some business leaders. Please do remember that the schedule, itinerary and the event as they unfold during the visits of the Prince of Wales will be covered live here on the channel, JoyNews, but also subsequently on the other relevant platforms on multimedia. Well, let's move on. Ghana's economy risks total collapse if steps are not taken by the Bank of Ghana to strengthen the base of the financial sector. These are the words of the Chief Executive of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, who says the collapse of the 7 indigenous banks, followed by panic withdrawals by depositors, has threatened the survival of the remaining banks. At a forum by JoyNews to discuss the state of Ghana's banking sector, the panelists were unanimous in their call on the central bank to strengthen its monitoring and regulatory role to ensure sanity in the sector.
Ghana's economy is largely informal, and the institutions that lend to this informal sector are the non-banks. I can also tell you that over the last 12 months, as usual, I go out, we speak to our people that do business with us, we share our strategy, and there's still some concern. People are concerned, and I hope that the Bank of Ghana moves quickly to deal with the non-bank sector. And I'm glad that Elsie said that before I did, because there's concern. And we can see huge withdrawals. There are people withdrawing their money. Most of them are withdrawing even before the maturity. And I can understand the concerns. I mean, you have credit unions who have put people's life savings in institutions. You have some of the messages not being consistent. And people really are concerned. I mean, the number of people that come to me and say, Mr. Thompson, I have all my money with Dalex Finance is frightening. And I can see the withdrawals. And we've got to remember that no financial institution is able to pay its depositors on demand. It's not possible. Normally, you keep maybe 10% reserve for people that come for their money when it matures, because the money you take, you don't keep it in your bank account. You use it for loans. But that 10% now is being breached. And if we don't manage it, once it gets to a point where people are not getting their money back, they get more worried, and the panic spreads, and everybody's affected. And without a robust financial system, this economy will collapse. And I'm not too worried about the people that go to banks. I'm worried about the wachi seller. I'm worried about the people that sell granules. I'm worried about the cocoa seller, because all those people borrow for business every day. Some of them even pay on the hour. So my take on this will be to say the Bank of Ghana, and I know it's difficult, but it has to be dealt with quickly and decisively, or else we're all in trouble.
Now let's move on. Let's pay attention to some health stories. And many young Ghanaians are leading apparently risky lifestyles, having unprotected sex with multiple partners. And that has resulted in more of them contracting HIV. New HIV cases for 2017, for example, went up by some 70% over the 2016 figure in the latest report released by the Ghana AIDS Commission. The latest development is a significant setback to government's target of reducing the rate of infections by 2030. Well, the latest reports on the subject will be brought to us by Ifwa Evans Chinri.
Until just 3 years ago, Ghana had made steady progress over a 5-year period in tackling the HIV/AIDS scourge, which has battered Ghana and other African countries. In 2016, 12,000 Ghanaians were infected by the virus, reversing the gains made over the 5-year period. 2017 figures released by the Ghana AIDS Commission today shows an even worse situation. More than 20,000 Ghanaians have been infected in the year under review, a worrying 70% jump from figures recorded the previous year. Here's Acting Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Steve Chermi Etuahene.
The National HIV and AIDS Strategic Plan 2016 to 2020 seeks to reduce new HIV infections. However, in 2017, new infections were as high as 19,101. This clearly indicates that more work needs to be done if we are to achieve the 1990 targets.
The Commission says risky sexual behavior such as unprotected sex with multiple partners is responsible for the huge increase.
Young people are getting infected. Between 2010 and 2016, new infections among young people aged 24 and younger, new infections increased among this group by 45%. Young people take a lot of risks that expose them to HIV infection, but they do not protect themselves. And here protection is use of condoms during high-risk sex.
As the country prepares for World AIDS Day on December 1, the Commission is to roll out a comprehensive program targeting high-risk groups.
What we are considering, the Governing Board of Ghana AIDS Commission has tasked a committee to evaluate the situation in terms of introducing another policy, which is quite similar, pre-exposure prophylaxis. For especially key affected populations like female sex workers and MSM. We know that these are the core groups that actually who serve as source of the infection.
Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa represented President Akufo-Addo at the launch.
Government is very much aware of the dwindling donor support to the epidemic. As a government, we accept the challenge and we are committed to providing the resources required to achieve the 90-90-90 targets. We also call on the private sector to complement government efforts by investing in HIV and AIDS in communities as part of their social responsibility. We also encourage employers to support NGOs to sustain the decentralized level response and implement workplace HIV programs.
Under the Sustainable Development Goal 3, all Ghanaians are expected to enjoy good health and well-being free from HIV/AIDS. Ifwa Evans Chinri for JoyNews.
A senior state attorney at the Upper West Regional Office of the Attorney General's Department has challenged the youth to give out information to expose people who are involved in corrupt practices. Saeed Abdul Shakur stated that corruption permeates every sector of the economy and has deprived the country of requisite development. the legal practitioner threw the challenge when he took his turn to speak to members of the Upper West Regional Youth Parliament in Wa. Rafik Salam has the rest of the story.
The senior state attorney was a guest of the Upper West Youth Parliament on the occasion of the Africa Youth Day. He was invited to speak on the topic, the youth and fight against corruption, the way forward. Lawyer Said Abdul Shakur said, though some Ghanaians think that Ghana's law on corruption is vague, he thinks otherwise.
They say that the issues of corruption are not about laws. They are not about implementations. Issues of corruption are about attitudes.
The Youth Parliament is a platform for young people between the ages of 15 to 40 years. It is an opportunity for the youth of Ghana to hold leaders accountable for the management of state resources and to engage policymakers on core issues that impact on the future of the youth of Ghana. Lawyer Said is worried about a distorted view of success by the youth.
Your view of who a successful person is so distorted that sometimes when I reflect on it, I wonder. When we were growing up, the most respected person in our class was the most intelligent. The most respected person in the society was the person who was smart enough, who was able to achieve academic laurels at an early age. Today, your definition of a successful person is the one that carries an iPhone 5X or whatever the name is, who drives in a Toyota Camry or a Toyota Corolla. That is your definition of success. And if you don't change how you define or look at success, corruption will take center stage and your society will be worse off.
He challenged the youth to work and expose corruption wherever they find it.
The fight against crime is not the duty of anybody. It's the duty of the youth. Because you are going to inherit this society. If you expose a corrupt person, no matter how much you go to expose him, realize that you have helped society a lot. Because if you expose the policeman or the prosecutor or the attorney, whose duty is it to fight crime, who is selling crime, if you expose him, you are safer for it. If you don't expose him, the same criminals will be churned back into the system and you will pay the ultimate price. Because most of the criminals won't come and attack the people who are facilitating their job.
Director of Education and Training, Kwesi Evans Nkum, used the opportunity to recount various programs to advance the cause of youth development in Ghana.
Firstly, the authority in May 2017 launched one of the flagship programs that is the Step Towards Employment and Productivity. The project, which aims to impact artisans with vocational training to mainly unskilled youth throughout the country. 3,000 young persons have also been trained in online digital marketing and entrepreneurship program that has enabled the beneficiaries to begin their own online business. In the spirit of providing facilities to unearth sporting talent, the NYA is constructing 10 youth resource centers in all 10 regions of Ghana. These centers do not merely provide opportunities for talent development, but also offer counseling services, leisure and training facilities.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wa.
And before we go, the maiden edition of the Silver for Republic concert, a journey down memory lane of Ghana's political history to the Fourth Republic, has been staged in Kumasi. Patrons across generations had a lot to talk about after the session mounted by Filial Heart Foundation to support needy children. Live FM's Kwesi Debra sat through proceedings and came through with this report.
The Fantis, liking these goodies, welcomed them. It gradually tempted us. So it was no longer confrontational and became cozy with them.
From arrival of the British eulogies to Ghana's first president to 25 years of interrupted constitutional rule, medical practitioner and historian Dr. Ernest Kwaku never failed to impress. Patrons, including high-profile personalities like Catholic Archbishop Emeritus Kwesi Sapon, were enthralled in over 2 hours of cantata.
74 driver A, drive on your right, drive A, driver A, drive on your right. Thank you. Then you know, about a year later, we changed the metric system. Ghana goes metric. Metric, it is your metric. Do you remember? Your Ghana goes metric now. We measure distance in meters, we weigh in kilos. You remember? Thank you. Some of you were around. But you see, in changing from driving from the left to the right, a lot of people said that there was going to be chaos. But the champion knew what he wanted to do. There were many advertisements, many public conscientization efforts to make sure that when 4th August came, there will not be any accidents. So he used many groups in the country, used many advertising routes to try and drive home the point. One of such groups was a subsidizing group. We will get there. He knows how we will get there. We know we will. And you know, the next
The amateur contest was put together in collaboration with John Ajekum Kufuor Foundation. It marked 25 years of Ghana's 4th Republic and preceded the former president's 80th birthday. It also aimed at raising funds for the filial charities. Convener Dr. Ernest Kwaku lamented corruption persists in Ghana despite causing the overthrow of many governments.
This year, Ghana is 25 years in its Republican experimentation for the 4th Republic. So we decided to take the topic, run with it, and point out that there are recurring issues which are militating against our national development. Corruption, all the regimes that were overthrown, first, second, third, corruption was in. And then a lowered economy, bad economy. Okay, these are recurring issues. They were the reasons for the overthrow of the 3 republics. They are the same reasons for changing governments within this republic that is even stable. So it just shows that we are not learning.
Some patrons shared their impression after the event.
He went into details and everything was there. He was on point, though his dancing skills was not really on point.
I believe that if I have been touched, a program like this, if I know your history, I think it's very wow.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
And that's it for the latest news update. But we have more news. We review the newspapers. We look at myjoyonline.com, other online portals. I hope that we have something on Donald Trump. Even if we don't, we still have to tell you. The royal visit is on. The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall are visiting town. But where you can get all the latest updates is right here on Joy News. Stay with us. We'll be right back.